Hello, welcome to my channel. So I'm back with another story time, and I know I missed like 3 weeks, and I'm sorry. I apologize. You know what? It was mostly I wasn't feeling it. I really didn't have any energy. Work is a lot, okay? It takes a lot out of me, and also, I don't want to make this a job. I want it to be fun and I want it to be more as a hobby than anything else. And that's why I haven't been uploading, but I am back and I am ready for another story. And this story, I've been hyping it up a lot and I kind of just stopped. So, here and I am ready to tell a story. But of course, like always, I am going to be drinking but not alcohol today. Okay, I actually don't have anything like to drink, so I am going to be drinking just water, but in a cute cup. Okay. So if you guys want to drink with me or anything you guys want, go get it and let's just get started. So this story, if you guys been following my videos, I did mention that I was gonna talk about the time that I got caught. I don't want to say sneaking out because it wasn't sneaking out. I did tell my grandma I was gonna go to a certain place, but I didn't. I went somewhere else. I am gonna tell you that story where I basically got caught. So let's just get started. So this story does take place when I was 18 years old. And if you guys saw that video that I made about the crazy concert, this is after that. It's also after me sneaking out and you get a little bit confident. So I got a little bit confident and I was like, you know what? Like I haven't got caught so far, so I'm still going to do it and do it and do it, right? So one day, Jade, my best friend, mentioned her before. She calls me, and I remember it's a Saturday because it was after church. I came back from church, and she calls me and she tells me, like, hey, we want to go out, our group of friends, and we want to go to Juarez. So, I haven't really mentioned where I'm from. If you guys don't know me, I am from El Paso, Texas, and we are a border city. So, right next to El Paso is Juarez. So, it's literally like right next to us. And obviously, over there, the age so you could drink is 18, and over here in Texas or United States is 21. So we were 18 years old, and of course, we wanted to drink. So they told me, like, hey, let's just go to Juarez. We are old enough to drink over there, and let's just have fun, party over there. And girl, Juarez is a little dangerous, but we still decided to go anyways, right? And a lot of people go, okay, it's not really, really bad, but it is just a little bit dangerous and you do have to take a lot of precaution going to Juarez. So anyways, she ended up telling me like, hey, let's go to Juarez, let's have some fun. And I was like, okay, like I'm down. It's just like, what should I tell my grandma, right? Like, what should I tell her? And she tells me like, hey, just tell her that you're gonna go to my house, like a sleepover, and then my mom, I'm gonna tell her that we're at a quinceañera. And I'm like, okay, like sounds like a plan. So I ended up telling my grandma, like, hey, I'm gonna go to Jade's house. And she tells me, like, are you sure? And I look at her and I'm like, yeah, like I'm sure. And I don't know if it was because I was packing my stuff and I guess I wasn't being like sneaky enough. I was packing heels and I was packing dresses and whatever. And I guess she saw that and she kind of caught on, like she is a smart woman. So I know for a fact she probably caught on and she asked me, like, are you sure you're going to Jade's house? And I told her, yes, I am. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll let you go. Go have your fun. And, like, that's it. So I was like, okay, like I'll see you. I'm gonna sleep over, so I'll see you tomorrow. And that's it. I gave her a hug and I left. So I remember my friends were already waiting for me and they were in the car and everyone was ready except me, okay? Like I was in sweatpants and just a t-shirt because I was like pretending that I was gonna go to Jade's house. So I ended up getting ready there in the car. I already kind of had makeup on and I just like left it like that, kind of like zhuzhed it up a little bit. And then I put on my dress, and yes, I did it in the car, okay? I know, had to be sneaky about it. So I did, like, just put on a dress real quick, put on my heels, and got ready in the car. And once we get there, we get to the border, and of course, you have to, you know, cross the border. And our friend was confident enough to drive there, so he is like, don't worry about it. I'll take you guys and we'll come back, right? So I was like, okay, like that's fine. Then we get there. A friend of theirs was gonna be there too, and basically he wanted kind of like to meet, and they tell me like he's gonna be there and you're gonna meet him and see, you know, how things go. And I was like, okay, like that's fine. So we get there and we immediately order a bottle. And, you know, like I kind of was just like listening to music, kind of having a conversation with this guy. And then all of a sudden, my phone rings. And I look down, and of course, it's my grandma. And I was like, okay, like honestly, I'm scared to answer because I am in Mexico and Juarez, and I'm afraid that they're gonna charge me in my phone if I answer them, okay? So I was like, I'm not gonna answer her. You know, I'm gonna tell her that I fell asleep. And by this point, it was like maybe 10 or 11 already, or yeah, it was like 11. And no, girl, like she calls me again and again. So like maybe like 3 times. And I was like, no. Like honestly, something is up. Like I have to answer her. Like I can't. So I went with my friend Jade and I asked her, like, hey, like, you know, like can you answer your phone when you're here? And she tells me like, yeah, I just put this. So she kind of just messed with my phone, and she like put something so I could like answer the call, right? So I end up going to the restroom trying to find a quiet place, which is stupid. Like, okay, like you can still hear loud music. So, anyways, I end up going to the restroom and I answer the call there, and it's my grandma, and she starts screaming at me, and she's like, where are you at? And I told her, like, I'm at Jade's house. And she's like, no, you're not. And I was like, yes, I am. And she's like, no, you're not, because I am right here at Jade's house and you're not here. And I was like, oh, really? And then she's like, yeah, like I'm right here. I am right next to her mom and you guys are not here. And she told me that you guys are at a quinceañera. And, you know, like I couldn't really say anything. So I was like, yeah, like we are in quinceañera and I'm sorry I didn't tell you. It's just I feel like you weren't gonna let me go. And she told me like you should have told me the truth, like maybe I would have let you go if you actually told me where you were gonna go. And I knew it. I had a feeling that you weren't gonna be at Jade's house. And she kind of gave me like a whole spiel on like, you know, I should have told her where I was gonna go. But yet, keep in mind, at a quinceañera at Juarez, but we couldn't tell our parents that because, again, it's dangerous and they probably wouldn't have let us go anyways. She tells me, I need you to come home right away. And I told her, like, yeah, like, I'll try. Um, like, obviously, like, I have a right, so I can't just tell him right away, like, hey, take me home. Like, we've been here, like, what, like 30 minutes? So I tell her like I'll go home as soon as possible, as soon as I can, I'll go home. So she kind of was still mad. She's like, okay, fine. And she like stopped, right? Like she hang up and that's it. So then we ended up, you know, staying there for a little bit and it was maybe what like 2 in the morning when they're like, okay, let's go home. And I was like, okay, let's go. I was like super scared because I know I was in so much trouble, okay? Like, I knew already that I was in so much trouble. So I was like, okay, like, I'm ready to go. And the guy that they wanted me to like meet up with, he ended up taking a bottle with him, and he got stopped by security, and they were telling him like, hey, you can't take that bottle. So girl, I just left them. I was like, no, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm not with him, and bye. So I just like left, and we kind of like left him behind because he had his own car. So we're like, he's fine, like, they just couldn't probably just let him go, right? So we ended up getting in the car, and we're driving, and we get to the border, but we realize that the line is super long, okay? I don't remember exactly at what point it was, but I remember it took us about 3 hours, okay? 3 hours in order to cross the border and get to El Paso. So, you know, at this point, we're in the car and we're just waiting in line, and my grandma keeps calling and calling and calling and calling. And I'm like, girl, like, stop, like, I get it. I'm trying my best. It's just, I couldn't tell her specific, like, hey, I'm actually in line from Juarez, like, I couldn't really tell her that. But I kept on telling her that I was on my way, that I was gonna go to the house, and I promised, like, I was trying my best to get there. And she was yelling at me. She was telling me like, hurry up, like, I need you in the house. And I was like, I understand, but it was it was a lot of back and forth, to the point that I was like, I can't. I was like, I need to stop answering her. So I was like, I'm just gonna stop. I'm not gonna answer her anymore. And she just kept on calling me and calling me. I don't know how many calls, I had from her, but it was a point that she got it. Like, I wasn't answering, and I wasn't gonna answer her, so she stopped calling, and that's pretty much it. Like, we ended up crossing the border at 5 in the morning, okay? 5 in the morning. And I was like, I am in so much trouble. Like, I'm dead. I'm like literally dead, okay? So once we crossed the border, I told my friend, like, hey, can you drop me off? And they're like, no, we're gonna drop him off first. So we had another friend, we're gonna drop him off first, and then we could drop you off. So I was like, okay, fine, like, I'll wait my turn. So we ended up dropping off our friend, and then finally, when we are on our way to drop me off, remember that we are at a stoplight, and you could see like the sunset. No, not the sunset. I'm sorry, not the sunset, the sunrise. So I remember seeing the sunrise, and we could just hear birds singing and doing their thing. And my friend Jade tells me, we effed up when you hear the birds chirping and singing and you see the sunrise. And I was like, I know, I know, I know, like, we're in so much trouble. So, anyway, so we end up getting to my apartment, and I'm so scared. Okay, I am terrified of going inside my apartment, but I'm like, oh well, suck it up. You got caught and you have to do this. So, girl, I ended up, walking in, and grandma and grandpa are in the room. I end up getting there, and I told her, hey, I'm here, and I get in the bed with them. And I shouldn't have done that because I probably stank like alcohol and cigarettes because people were smoking there. So, anyways, I get in the bed and I apologize, and I tell them I'm sorry that I didn't tell them where I was going, that from now on I will be honest with them and I'll let them know exactly where I'm going. That's pretty much it. Did I get grounded? Probably got grounded, probably couldn't go out, but that's pretty much it. Like, It wasn't really bad. She was already exhausted. She just told me she was upset and she was disappointed. She was disappointed that I didn't tell her where I was going and that I had to lie to her. But we kind of had a conversation and we kind of figured things out, and that's pretty much it. But that's not the end of the story, okay, girl? That's not the end. Because first, I didn't drink, okay? I thought that was it, you know, I thought that everything was fine when the next day, or that same day, because it was 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning, Jade calls me and she tells me, girl, and I was like, what? Like, what's going on? And she tells me, my mom told me what happened when your grandma got to my house. And I was like, oh, did she made a scene? And she's like, yeah, like big, big time. And I was like, well, tell me, you know, like what happened? And she ended up telling me, like, my grandma, when she kind of had like a hunch that I wasn't at Jade's house, she immediately told my grandpa, hey, take me to Jade's house. They know where she lives, okay? So it was just easy for them to get there. Plus, we were so close by. So she ends up getting to Jade's house and she tells me, she knocks on the door, and once Jade's mom opens the door, she barges in and she starts screaming my name, and she tells her, like, where's Noemi? Where's Noemi? She ends up telling her, like, they're at a quinceañera. And I'm sorry, you know, like, Jade's mom is such a good person and such a sweetheart that she, you know, like, ended up kind of covering for us and saying, like, she's in a quinceañera, like, she probably didn't tell you because she doesn't trust you. And my grandma got upset, but she ended up barging in all the way to Jade's room and, like, looking for me everywhere in Jade's house and, like, shouting my name. And she told her, like, no, like, they're not here, that they're in a quinceañera, and that, you know, calm down, that they should be home soon, and that's pretty much it. And I honestly got a little bit embarrassed, and I did tell her, like, I'm sorry that my grandma kind of caused that whole scene. And there was a lot more said, okay? Like, it was probably a whole scene. And um I got, you know, like, embarrassed, but I do understand my grandma's point of view. Obviously, like, I told her I was gonna go to a place and I'm not there, and she's looking for me, and she just thinks the worst. Like, obviously you think the worst, you think that something went wrong or something is going on. And I get her, you know, I get that I shouldn't have done that. I get that I put myself in a situation that it might have gone wrong, you know. If we went to Juarez, something might have gone wrong, and I'm glad nothing happened. But now I see that I put myself in situations that I shouldn't have, okay? And I totally get her. I totally get her point of view, and I'm not embarrassed anymore. Like, she was there to protect me, and she always, always wants the best for me. So, you know, like, that's it. You know, I got caught, and it happens. All I'm saying is that you have to be honest and truthful if you're still living with your parents, if you're still under their roof, because they love you and they want the best for you, okay? So, anyways, that's my story. I hope you guys enjoy it. I am gonna start uploading again every week. I'm sorry that I couldn't upload, but I do want to be in the best mood for you guys, and I want you guys to enjoy my videos as much as I enjoy making them. So if you guys like my videos, please subscribe, please like them, and thank you so much for watching me.